wherever you're joining us today. Welcome. I Let me begin with this. For a little while, I've been working with in a hospital setting, part time, trying to broaden my ministry, and I have been reluctant to share Psalm 23 with my patients, precisely because you get to the part where it says, walking through the shadow of death, and so many people um, associate the psalm with death. Now, I've known for a while that the context is not really death as we understand it. So, what I ended up doing is sharing with the patients what the background of the psalm is, and it has enlightened so many. So, I thought I'd share a little of it with you today. So let's take a look at Psalm 23 across the background of it being the confessions of a contented sheep. Confessions of a contented sheep. So it begins. Well, let me give you a background before. Now, we remember that David is an expert shepherd. He even became known as the shepherd king. But have you ever looked at Psalm 23 from the perspective of David? Now, David is a shepherd. What do shepherds do for a sheep? I'll just give you three things now, and the rest will come later. First of all, the shepherd ensures the safety of the flock, and that's very important considering that the shepherd and the sheep are always on the move. And let me tell you this right up front. Psalm 23, those few verses you see there, look at a whole year of a shepherding cycle. And a shepherding cycle is 7 years. So if you ever wondered why Jacob had to work 7 years for Rachel, then 7 more years for Rachel, and then 6 more years for himself, 20, he completed 20 of a 21 year contract. Why 20? Why 7? Because 7 was the shepherding cycle. But Psalm 23 covers 1 year of that cycle. So the shepherd ensures the safety of the flock. The shepherd provides for the welfare of the sheep. The shepherd ensures that the sheep grazes where there is good foliage, where there is no poison, and where the sheep will be contented. But now the perspective from which I'd like for us to look at Psalm 23, and I don't know if you have looked at it from this perspective before, it is a reversal of roles. See if you can find the reversal of roles in Psalm 23, recognizing that David is a shepherd. But notice how the psalm begins. The Lord is my shepherd. So I hope you get it. David is no longer the shepherd. The Lord now becomes the shepherd, and David is the sheep. And so what David has done is to look at the things that he, as an expert shepherd, did for his sheep. And in the reverse role, God now does all these things for David, and by extrapolation for us as we are the sheep of the Lord's pasture. But I'd like you to note what he says. He says, the Lord. Who is this is referring to? The Lord here is Jehovah. Jehovah, the covenant making God of Israel. the covenant keeping God of Israel, the I am, I am that I am. David knew and referenced God as Jehovah Shalom, the Lord of my peace. That's important. Sheep need peace. The Lord gives him peace. He refers to him as Jehovah Rophe, Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide. Jehovah Rophe, the Lord who heals. Jehovah Tiskenu, the Lord our righteousness. Jehovah Shammah, the Lord is there. He is always there. We can depend on him. Jehovah Nissi, the Lord our banner. Jehovah Makadish, the Lord who sanctifies. And all of these references to the Lord appear in these few verses of the Psalm. But he says, the Lord is. And I'm sure all of us know that the only time the word to be can stand alone, the Lord is, and you need no complement, right? It's when it refers to God. You don't need the predicate nominative because God is. God has been in existence from the beginning. God is here today, and God will be there in the future. God is. But David says here that the Lord is my possessive. He belongs to me. I can claim him. I can own him. He is mine because he's my shepherd. That individualized, intimate relationship that is there between the shepherd and the sheep exists between me and my God. And one of the things that amazes me about God, I really don't fully understand it, but I believe it and I know it to be real because of who God is. If every single one of us on the planet, should begin to pray and to speak to God right now at this moment, he hears each one of us individually and can give us individualized attention. Oh, now some of us can multitask. And some of us, envy those of us who can multitask because we can only do one thing at a time. And perhaps, maybe I can do 2 or 3 things at the same time. But can you compare that with God, who would be able to give individualized attention to all the billions of us on planet Earth? Praise God, he is my shepherd. He takes care of me, my shepherd. I believe I'm the sheep in his arms right now. What about you? He's my shepherd. Eastern shepherds guarded their sheep. They led them. They provided food and water for them. They took care of them when they were weary, when they were bruised, when they were cut or sick. They rescued them when they strayed. They knew their names. Individually, they knew their names. They assisted in delivering the lambs. And in every way, they just simply love their sheep. And that's what David says God is doing for us as his sheep. He guards us. He leads us. He provides food for us. He gives us water. He takes care of us when we are weary, when we are bruised, when we are cut, when we are sick. He rescues us when we stray. He knows our names. He assists in delivering us when we were being born. He knew us, you see, even before we were born. And in every way, he just simply loves us. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that something to be proud of? Can you imagine having the creator of the cosmos, the creator of the universe, and the sustainer of life as your shepherd, who holds you in his arms, who cares for you, who mentors you. That's awesome, isn't it? On the other hand, recognizing that sheep do not just take care of themselves, they must be meticulously cared for. Can you imagine all the trouble that you give the creator? Yes, you individually. Me. Can you imagine the trouble that we give the creator and all that the creator has to put up with us every day? Have you ever thought about all the trouble you give your guardian angel? And I give my guardian angel, yet God still loves us, still cares for us, and still gives us individualized attention. That's something to think about. But because God is this kind of shepherd, David says, I shall not want. This means I will not lack. I shall not lack anything. I'll have no deficiency in my care. I will always have proper care, proper management, proper industry, because there's no other shepherd that can be compared with this shepherd. No one else can take care of us as kindly, as compassionately as this shepherd, who is utterly awesome. Therefore, I can be contented in the shepherd's care. I don't have to have any craving or any desiring for anyone else or anything else because of who my awesome shepherd is. And so I say to you, my friend, if you find yourself craving for someone else, craving for something else, please do examine your relationship with the shepherd. Make sure that you are in his care. Make sure that you are not straying or wandering away. I shall not want means that the welfare of a flock is totally dependent on the owner's management, which means that God is, I am as a sheep, I'm totally dependent on God's management of me. It is not what I want to do, it is what God wants me to do. Every morning, when I wake up, I pray a prayer that says, Lord, take me where you want me to go today. Bring me in contact with the people you want me to meet today. Put the words in my mouth that you want me to say today. And invariably, I will come in contact with people that I know God placed in my path that day because God wanted us to meet. Because I'm under his total management. Are you? While some sheep are irritated by their care, not so those belonging to the Good Shepherd. The Good Shepherd manages their total care. He is in total control, and therefore all will be well. So, because the Lord is my shepherd, he makes me lie down in green pastures. What that means, if you have ever been to the Middle East, to Israel or Jordan, I don't know if it struck you as it did when I watched the sheep on the mountainside grazing. I see nothing green. Everything I see is brown, but they are eating because there's a lack of water in the area. But David says, the good shepherd makes us lie down in green pastures. What that means is that he is going to prepare the place where we can go, where we have pasture, where we have the green grass. And we'll talk more about that before we come to the end. And what David is saying is that God ensures that sheep will not lie down unless the four requirements are met. Please note this. Sheep will not lie down unless these four requirements are met. One, they must be free of fear. In other words, if there are things lurking around or animals lurking around or sounds around that make them afraid, they will not lie down. And there's nothing more calming and comforting to a sheep than his owner's presence. So if there's nothing, no cries of wolves or lions or these wonder beasts around, and the sheep is contented, it will lie down. But if the shepherd is there, you can guarantee that it will lie down. Nothing will keep it on its feet at that point. So they must be free of fear, from fear. The second thing is they must be free from friction from others of their kind. In other words, if they are coming in contact, rubbing against other sheep at that point, they will not lie down. If there are rivalries going on and tension with the sheep, if there's competition among them, they are not relaxed and they will not lie down. So if the shepherd wants them to lie down and go to sleep, then it will have to separate those that are, those rams that will create a problem. You'll have to separate them out so that they are not touching anybody else. They are free from friction. The third thing is that they must be free from pests. And nasal flies and bat flies and warble flies and ticks are some of the examples of the pests that trouble them. And we'll talk more about that later. They must be free from those and they will go to sleep or lie down. And then the fourth one is they must be free from hunger, which means that they must be fed. A key marker for success is good pasture lands. Now, let me say this lest I forget later. A good shepherd ensures that there will always be another pen with good green grass where the sheep can go. Even if you look at the pasture land and you see grass, the shepherd will move them on, because if they eat too much of the grass and eat it down, it will kill the grass and the grass will not grow again. And the parasites will get at them, so they will not have food for the next year or the next time. So what the good shepherd does, it will move it from one pasture land to the next, not letting it eat it down or eating too much, to ensure that there will be growth for the next time. Now, he leads me beside still waters, and Stan made the good point of this in the introduction. The important point that we need to know here is that sheep need water. And though a sheep can go for weeks without drinking water from a pool, like the pool you're seeing here, it can do that as long as every morning it goes out when the dew is fresh on the grass. And if it eats the grass with the dew on it, it gets enough moisture, enough water for it to survive. But here's the point. If the sheep needs water and the shepherd is not a good shepherd, that provides good water for it, it will drink muddy and stagnant water. And the muddy and stagnant water will make it sick. And it can affect, the entire flock. So a good shepherd ensures that there is good water. Now, what does the sheep, not the shepherd now, what does the sheep regard as good water? Here's a point to note. A sheep will not drink running water. A sheep will not drink water from a pool where that is running. In other words, if there's a little fall, or you have one of these gutters that take water from somewhere else down in the pool, it will not drink from that. In order for a sheep to drink, there must be still waters. The water must be still and quiet, and it will drink to its heart's content. Be still and know that I am God, the Good Shepherd says. If you are still, you can have your relationship with me. If you're still, I'll give you the water that you need. If you're still, I'll take care of your needs, and you will have no want. You will drink sufficiently. He restores my soul. And this image that you see here of the sheep sleeping calmly on the shoulder of the shepherd is a good one. It is representative. He restores my soul. What does this mean? One of the problems with a sheep occurs if it gets what we call cast. This occurs especially to a sheep that is very fat, or a sheep that is pregnant and is about to deliver, or to a sheep like this one here, where you can see that the wool is heavy and thick. A sheep gets cast when it gets over like this and it's lying on its back with the 4 feet in the air. When it gets like that, it cannot roll over from its back to get back on its seat. As a matter of fact, let the shepherd tell you.
Hold on. Hang on a moment. It's just going.
You get the point. Once the sheep gets cast, it is not able to get back on its feet by itself. The shepherd has to go and to turn it to the side, then it's able to get back on its feet. And for the first few moments thereafter, it's still very wobbly and can fall over. So the good shepherd takes care of the sheep when it gets cast, make sure it's able to get back on its feet, and make sure that it is in the best condition possible. So the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He restoreth my soul. Then it says, He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. The paths where we should go, the path. The sheep must be led. Sheep are followers. They will not forge a path for themselves as such. They have to be led. We need to learn to follow the leader, and the leader is the good shepherd. Sheep must be kept on the move, or they will eat a field to nothingness. They will eat themselves to sickness by ingesting parasites and other disease producing organisms. Now, when you look, have you ever seen a shepherd walking along the road and over the mountainside with his flock? And have you ever noticed that among the sheep you have goats? Why do you have goats among the sheep? It's because the sheep can't lead the way. You have to have the goats to lead the way, and the sheep will follow. Yet I find it interesting that when Jesus tells the story in Matthew 25, the goats, the ones who were the leaders, are the ones that are cast aside. They are the ones that are discarded. And the sheep, the followers, are the ones that make it into the kingdom. So that's something for us to think about. If the sheep follow and make it into the kingdom, and the goats lead and don't make it, what should we be doing? That's something we need to think about, and that's a lesson I hope we'll take from this. We come to what could be uh, one of the best known parts of Psalm 23. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. We hear this so much during at funerals and when people are sick, but that's not what the psalm is referring to. As I mentioned before, the psalm covers 1 year of the shepherding cycle. And what happens here, the shepherd goes ahead and he prepares upon the tablelands, upon the mountaintop. He prepares the grass where the sheep will eat and will feed. And in order to make it up, he has to pass through this valley here to go up to the top. They're coming down, they're going up to the top. But what happens is the coyotes and the mountain lions and these animals of prey hang out in this section and attack the sheep. And so, because so many sheep get killed in this area as they move up to where the shepherd has prepared food for them, this valley has become known as the valley of the shadow of death. It's the valley where the sheep can get slaughtered and killed by the mountain lions and the predators. Have you ever noticed that the psalm does not say we die in the valley of the shadow of death? It says, though I walk through the valley, which means that it's not something that we are going to necessarily die in. It is something that we're going to go through, because the good shepherd is going with us and is leading us through. And if he is with us and leading us, no mountain lion, no coyote, no predator will get us, because we are protected by the good shepherd. Isn't that wonderful? So when you're going through your tough experience, when you're walking through your valley, your lonesome valley, remember that the good shepherd is by your side. Remember that the good shepherd has your best welfare at heart. Remember that the good shepherd is the one who is taking care of you. And as long as the good shepherd is taking care of you, though you are going through this valley, though you're passing through this lonesome valley, you will be protected, because the good shepherd has your back. The good shepherd has you covered. And if the good shepherd has you covered, then all will be well. So, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you art with me. But notice what it says: thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Your rod, your staff, they comfort me. The rod was an instrument, was an extension, sorry, of the shepherd's right hand. It stood for his strength, it stood for his power and authority in serious situations. The rod was used for his and his flock's protection. Um, and I've read where the shepherd came to a stone, and lurking behind the stone was one of these poisonous snakes. And the snake was just ready to pounce on the sheep. But the shepherd saw it, and he just one throw of his rod killed the snake. He will also throw the rod to kill a lion or a mountain lion or some predator that is attacking the sheep. So the rod was used to protect himself and to protect the sheep, because it could stun or kill an attacking beast. But it's also an instrument of discipline. If a sheep is going astray and is going down a path that is going to lead it over a cliff or something like that, the shepherd will throw it to hit the sheep, so it will know it's doing something wrong and it will turn back. It's the rod of discipline, the rod of correction. It was also used to examine and count the sheep at the end of every day. So the rod was something important to the shepherd and to the sheep. But it says, thy rod and thy staff. The staff was the shepherd's crook that he used to assist the individual sheep. It is a symbol of the shepherd's concern and his compassion for his sheep. If there was a sheep out there that it needed and it was far from him, because it is made in such a way that the top of it curves over, he can always use it to hold on to the head of the sheep or some part of the sheep and pull it to him. Whenever a mother had a young lamb, he would use the staff to pick up the young lamb and take it to the mother. And he would use the staff because if he used his hands, the mother would smell his smell on the hands of the lamb and would reject the lamb. But by using the staff, there would be no smell. Therefore, the mother would accept the lamb and give the lamb that intimacy that it needs. The rod was used for the comfort of the sheep. It speaks of long suffering and of kindness. It was used to draw sheep together into intimacy. It was used to reach and catch individual sheep, young and old, and bring them into intimacy with the shepherd. It was also used to guide the sheep. But here's a very important section of the psalm as well. Thou anointest my head with, thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. This speaks to what the shepherd would go ahead and do. Go up to the pasture land, and if you see over here in the far section, the green grass, he would go ahead and prepare the green grass so that the sheep would have green grass to eat. And the mountain lions and the others would look in at them eating and would not be able to go in to attack because of the shepherd's care. But he says, thou anointest my head with oil. What does that mean? Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Here's what we're talking about. Um, there were these insects, these parasites that like the moisture of the nose of the sheep. And so it would go in and it would lay eggs in the nose of the sheep, sometimes the ear. And then when the eggs would hatch and the caterpillars would then come out, then they would begin to wriggle and move about in the nose of the sheep. Not having hands like ours, it cannot get them out. So the sheep would be discontented. And what it would do in order to get relief, it would go by a tree and it would knock its head against a tree or against a wall until it kills itself in order to be rid of the parasites. But what a good shepherd would do, he would get a mixture of Lysol and olive oil and would pour that mixture on the head of the sheep. So when the flies and the gnats, the bugs would smell that, they would stay away, and that would protect the sheep. And so David says, the good shepherd will anoint our head with oil to such an extent that our cup would run over, that goodness and mercy would follow us for all the days of our life. And I like the ending. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. What this part speaks to is they have gone through the cycle. It's now they leave in the spring and go out. It's now getting to the time when it's all the autumn and the winter is coming. And so the shepherd would make his way back home with the flock, where they'll be again in the security of home for the winter. And David is saying, we're going through the winter of sin. We have been separated from the Father and home. But very soon, the winter will be past. Very soon, time, which is an interlude in eternity, will be no more. Very soon, the families of earth will be reunited with the family above, and we will be able to dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever with the Good Shepherd, with the Father, and the hosts of all ages. If my shepherd takes such good care of me now, can you imagine what that care will be like without sin, without pain, without anything to hurt or destroy or to annoy? Can you think what it will be like to live with the Good Shepherd forever and ever and have the Good Shepherd take care of us for eternity? That will be awesome. That will be wonderful. That's what is promised. That's what David looked forward to. That's what I am looking forward to. I want to be there. How about you, my friend? I ask you, get ready for heaven. Let nothing prevent you from enjoying the good care of the Good Shepherd and planning to spend eternity with the Good Shepherd. See you there. God bless.